All right, welcome to Bonehead. Chad somehow disappeared into the blankness, into the black.
Don't worry, the void will spit him right back out. Give it a second. The void ain't gonna put up with him.
So you were saying about James's sunglasses? There he left again.
He looks exactly like a pilot that's just gonna just now decided that he's just gonna fucking take off.
Are you thinking he's John Denver kind of pilot?
I'll be honest. If it was up to me, Indiana
John Denver kind of pilot. I was talking about James crashing a plane. I'm a dick.
I'm not the singer he is. Of course, I'm still breathing.
Oh fuck! I can hear you now. Now I'm all sad.
Oh, that's
like
okay.
The thing I always used to say about my sister. Yeah, it is like, wow, I thought she was a really good pilot.
It's dark.
Oh, I'm sorry. Too soon?
Too soon. Damn.
Now, all I got to say is that is the first thing I heard, and my brain is about this close to exploding.
There was
Chad, welcome to Bonehead, Chad. We do this show every week. You'd think you'd be used to it by now.
You do remember what it was like to have me on, right?
Yeah,
we do. But you know what? And we'd already got people quoting when James did that little post, and then I shared it. And we had people like, "Oh my God, we love Mick," and it's already. And I keep thinking, yeah, we want to have him back on. Mick's been in the house. We planned it. We planned to have him in person on the couch. That's the reason we've been putting this off. It's not because we couldn't make it happen. It's because we literally couldn't fucking make it happen.
And am I making this up? Like, there was literally talk of us driving to Tennessee and doing it at Mick's place.
Oh,
and
you're
then
kidding me.
And then the next month, COVID hit.
That's all true.
Right.
Mick. Well, you and Mick, we've talked. I mean, you don't remember all the conversations, but we've planned it to do it here.
We're fucking fantastic.
You were going to be directing. We were going to do about the movie. We were going to do a thing that way.
COVID kind of took care of everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like COVID comes along and everybody, and the thing is and tell me that you're not doing this now. Tell me that every day you don't have a threat. All of a sudden, a thread of a conversation comes back and ties together, and you go, "Oh, yeah, that's right." You know, my wife and I just watched the new Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen it?
Well, I stopped watching about season 4. I need to go back.
Well, the funny thing is that they have come back after COVID, and it's weird. Is even the writing is dark and desperately trying to climb out of dark places, you know. And I'm like, and there is something about coming back in. After this, you know, we came back in after 9/11 easier than we're coming back in.
Do you think that's true?
Absolutely.
I actually agree. I think it is.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that one.
I think what's funny as you talk about that, horror author Gabino Iglesias actually posted on Twitter the other day. He said,
"Name drop."
I'm hoping we can call him in and do it in the show. He says he will. We'll see. He wants to wait till his new book comes out. Anyway, but he was saying that he's afraid this has killed the zombie franchise because nobody, you no longer think it would be hard to believe that somebody could be bitten and hide it because everybody's like, no, this doesn't exist.
Well,
you know what?
Go ahead.
Well, here's another thing though: is think about just the time. Just think about 2020. Think about, and I swear I'm not kidding. I've had friends talking to me about this. Have saying that they were lining up a show that was a police drama, right?
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends that are like still working in the business and stuff, and a lot of like new guys that are working in the business. I know if you were working on a police drama before 2020, you are not going to be doing that police drama now. Right. Police dramas gone. I mean,
all of them. It's
good. All of them. You know, and the thing is that's what even Brooklyn Nine-Nine is dealing with is coming. They're having a couple really, really dark episodes trying to come back in at the end of like Black Lives Matter and
Mhm.
the pandemic and all the rest of that. It has changed. And this is what I'm becoming aware of, is it has changed life in general in so many ways.
Well, so all three of you agree that 9/11, as far as coming back, is easier. And I'll pose this question to you all. We're not an overly political show, so but I do, if that's true, and I'm thinking
talking
about
societally, not
no,
politically.
And
I'm gonna add. Hold on, real quick. I just want to. This is the question: is it because after September 11th, we seemed to all be on the same page for a half a minute?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right. That's why.
And we've never been on the same page during this whole horse shit thing.
Well, no, we're further from it. The thing
Yeah.
is, we're further from being on the same page. I mean, politics is, and here's the problem. The problem is politics has come in and tried to tell you recently that black is white,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're like, I'm sorry, but there is something about a weatherman's eventually got to get something right because he can look out the fucking window.
Yep.
But politics isn't even that good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I'm just going to say, I'm going to go a step further and go really bleak and say that we recovered from 9/11 on the surface pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I am dead certain if you looked at the track of history, 9/11 is what led us to here today. I mean, I think really that was the long game, is that it basically just turned this into just a shithole.
Well,
It led us down a dark path and we're still not out of
yeah.
it. I hate to be really
Well,
grim,
hey,
but
that has been Bonehead
I-
Weekly. We've got bullets that we're going to be sending out to everyone. You can feel free to eat that bullet. However,
No,
you
excuse
choose
me.
to eat
Yeah,
that
if you-
bullet
if you-
at the end of the day.
Chad, if you'll excuse me, I've got to cut my wrist so I can see color again. Thank you. I'm going to go do that now.
Oh no,
And-
James. And for our people not watching,
It's-
tension, serious.
attention.
in all fairness, you kind of started recording. I was going to make a dirty hobo joke as we introed in.
Well, you can feel
So
free to do it now.
whoa. So you went from dirty hobo joke to the world is a bleak and dark place and we're all
Wait,
doomed.
Wait,
Have you
we
not
haven't-
met me?
Wait, we haven't honestly come in yet, Joe.
That's true. That's
Bring
true.
us in. Bring
All
us
right,
in.
welcome to Bonehead Weekly. With us today is Mick Strawn. Now, if you don't know who Mick Strawn is, you literally do not listen to the show. And this is the first time you've ever picked this up.
Wait,
And
I thought our
why you-
guest was Mick Foley.
Mick-
You know what, Chad?
oddly enough, I've met both.
Well, all I got to say about this episode is
What the hell?
What was
Did you
that?
Did you rip paper? Was that your
Yeah.
deed to your house? Did you
It was
check what
actually-
was on that?
it was
his
actually
soul.
it was a page of my outline of a presentation I got to do next week.
Oh, there
Luckily,
you
I
go.
have more paper and another printer.
Anyway, so welcome, Mick. We're so happy to have you. I'm glad we could get through 9/11, Black Lives Matter, COVID, all in the
COVID.
first 5 minutes.
We got through COVID quicker on this show than we'll ever get through it in reality.
And now we're gonna
That's for sure.
now let's talk about Matt Gates.
Yeah. Oh, ouch.
I can't spin my head all the way around, but
Chad, you heard any good hobo jokes lately?
Yes.
Shut up and eat your
regale
bi-
us.
Shut up and eat your beans in that dark alley that you're recording from.
By the way, I want to ask you about your dark alley you're recording from. There was 2 or 3 ways to do this show, and I have a couple of things I want to talk about. But the number one question I have is, where the fuck did you get the 10 to put behind you?
I think it's great.
I'm not knocking it. It just looks like he's in maybe some sort of country music town in Tennessee.
This is from a barn that fell down next door.
Oh, really?
Yeah, literally.
Is this your homemade? Is this your home studio that we're actually seeing?
Yeah, this
there?
is my home studio. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But I don't know if you've been looking on Facebook, but I took this 10, the same 10 downstairs and did my my doors downstairs. A
Mhm.
very bright and colorful version of this.
No,
And,
I haven't seen it. And I mean, we're friends on all social media. So
Yeah,
I haven't,
what
I
the-
don't know. It's the algorithms. Cause some asshole that I couldn't care less about. I see what he had for breakfast 5 times out of the week.
I post
I-
that so people will know.
I
I'm
know the
eating,
feeling.
okay?
there's this incredibly screwed up guy that I keep getting messages from him all the time, and I keep looking at it and
Sorry.
going, why is it him? No, no, it wasn't you. You're the other screwed up guy.
God.
And I keep getting
And
messages.
you never message.
Ugh. So, has anyone, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
has anyone here seen Suicide Squad?
Oh yeah,
Not the new one. No.
I have.
No, the brand new one.
Yeah.
I
no,
have.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh man, my God. You know,
How
What'd
good
you
is
think?
it?
it is such a turning point in Marvel. It's the funny thing about it, it is what all Marvel movies should be. There's
Now,
nothing
see-
serious about it. There's 100 million motherfucking things going on. At least half of them are kind of interesting,
Yeah.
you know, and it's visually amazing. And the great thing is that I can't think of the actress that does the Harley Quinn.
Margot
Margot-
Robbie.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie actually has control of her character now,
Mhm.
which is great because it just makes that character so much better, you know. And really most of the other characters in it, you know, kind of like fade behind, you know, to her. But it was such a treat because it was kind of like the end. It kind of feels like that culmination of the funny Marvel movies combined with the serious Marvel movies, and then they mixed in like a good chunk of meth.
Yeah.
Well, did you like
Right?
it, Chad?
No, come on, am I wrong about this?
No, I really, really did enjoy it. I mean, it was one of the newest takes of a superhero movie that I've seen in a long time. And the fact that and this is one thing that I really, there are many things to point out about what was shitty about the David Ayer, I'm going to pronounce his name, that version of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it may have been the studio. I have seen the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. It doesn't improve it. So I don't think his cut of Suicide Squad is
Yeah.
going to save that either.
Right.
But,
No,
you know,
but just this one.
that's what I'm saying. The point I was getting at was there's other than the one kid, nobody is a likable character in this. And that is what I like about it. He went out of his way to make these people despicable.
Well, I was about to
And
say,
if-
somebody posted, and I honestly said, read, and I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting till next week probably because
Yeah.
I got to move. But somebody said only this movie would go, we're going to put Polka Dot Man in, and we're going to make him hateable, but you're concerned about him.
Not only that, he is nowhere near the most outrageous thing that happens in the film. The thing is you kind of see Polka Dot Man and you go, well, what the hell is this? And that's about the last time you ever think about it.
That's my only, and that's my only complaint about the movie is Polka Dot Man.
Yeah.
Because of who he is in the comic book compared to what James Gunn did to him in the movie.
See, I don't believe in comic books. I don't believe that they exist.
Yeah.
You
No,
sure as
I'm
shit
not
have
one.
made
Let
some
me-
money
hey,
off of them
hey.
a couple of times.
Let me reveal they exist. Let me go get one.
Wait, hold on. There was a movie
Listen,
you worked on. Is it called
listen,
Balada?
it-
Fantastic Five?
If the right can say that COVID doesn't exist, I'm telling you, comic books don't exist. All right, you know, and I couldn't care less about a comic book in my life.
Yeah.
It's just that they just absolutely did this movie so that I was just completely blown away, and just you know, and there were a couple of things where there were a couple of things that looked really funky, you know, and still you sit there and go, well, yeah, but that's all right because we've seen everything else.
Yeah. And I'm really the one thing I'm hoping for is I hope Warner Brothers and DC are brave enough to give us a sequel. Because because right now, you know, it's kind of teetering on, is it successful, is it not? And there's a bunch of underlying factors as to why it didn't perform the way that it did, but still it needs another shot.
We could actually have an entire conversation about this because we've got the Scarlett Johansson Black Widow
I thought you were going to say the
drama.
Scarlet Pimpernel. I'm like, what?
Well,
Yeah, I thought he was
It's the
gonna
shittiest comic book James ever read.
why haven't we seen a Scarlet Pimpernel movie recently? Anyway, but
It's called Zorro.
I think they should fight. Anyway, but no, I think it's interesting that this argument about streaming and obviously allegedly, Marvel and Disney is making bank off of Black Widow, but because the contracts all said, hey, you only get paid for theatrical, they're able to let's say shortchange other people involved.
Now the thing is Black Widow is streaming and in the theater.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
Disney Plus and in theater.
That I'm pretty sure that's gonna go by the wayside pretty soon here.
I would imagine. I mean, there's going to be lawsuits, and I must admit, and by the way, not that they're ever going to hire me, but sorry, Disney, because Disney came out and when they did their thing, said, "Oh, she has no claim, no merit," and tried to frame it as she's already wealthy, she's just being greedy. And I'm like, wait a second, you're Disney.
Yeah.
If this was a little independent film, I'd be able to be like, yeah, I mean, she did this small role.
Yeah,
you're right.
But the
you're
thing
Disney.
is Disney has such a long history of not paying people anything.
Yeah.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
they're
Walt Disney,
notoriously
for God's
cheap.
sakes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
notoriously cheap.
I mean, even I've worked with Disney, and yeah, they're pretty cheap.
They're
They really are.
notoriously cheap. They really are. They've been notoriously cheap for years. But
Hold on, one second, real quick. By the way, Disney, if you'd like us to take this down, you can now sponsor Bonehead. It'll be Disney and we will put this episode in the vault.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Right next to Song of the South.
They may be cheap, but they're not as desperate as you guys.
well, no,
Okay.
no one is as desperate as. So what?
I literally was on the suicide hotline and they talked me down when they called. They were like, I was going to kill myself. No, buddy, you don't need to do that. Wait a second. Is this James? Yeah. Okay, buddy, let me walk you through something.
Now,
you call the suicide hotline nowadays, and it's just the Disney switchboard.
so I don't mean to change the subject, getting
No,
off of
yes,
Disney
you
for a
do.
second, but I'm going to change the subject because you called me the other day and left me a nasty voicemail. Actually, you didn't. I called you back, and then and that's how this I was like, just fuck you, come on the show. Let's just do it now. We'll do it again later too. But you called us old curmudgeons when you were listening to our streaming. And that's what I was going to tell the other two boneheads, is that we were attacked by a man that is 80 years older than us. 80 years. He was 140. He looked great for 140. Pretty shitty for 60, but great for 140. Telling us that we were curmudgeons about the streaming and having a problem. Now, when you say it's going by the wayside, are you talking about this movie being in the theater and streaming at the same time? Because they're racking up on that $29, people dropping $29 and them not having to worry about any kind of distribution, splitting that with AMC or whomever it is. They are racking up on that $29 if you pay a premium.
And by the way, from a family,
I agree.
point of view,
I agree, but you know what? What's going to stop them is the talent reps.
Yeah.
I mean, because the thing is it stretches their revenue stream out longer and gives the people who have points on it a better representation.
Now, explain what points are on the back end of that.
Oh, points are a percentage of what is left after the accountants have hidden as much as they possibly can.
Well, a great example of that is a movie called Forrest Gump, where Paramount for years said they didn't make any money off of Forrest Gump.
Yeah, you see, it's harder and harder to prove, because it used to be you could draw a line in the sand, and just about the time of Forrest Gump was when you couldn't draw that line in the sand anymore and say, well, yeah, we distributed it, it's out there, and we got all the numbers back. But that doesn't happen anymore,
How come?
Well, that's because you have playbacks, which you didn't used to have. You didn't have, all of a sudden you have VCR, and then you had a Laserdisc, and and now it's streaming, and it just has changed the game. And I've said this before. I've said that right now we're in the middle of a huge amount of change that's going to keep swirling and swirling and swirling, because our distribution is still based on theater.
Yep.
You know, it's still based on theater from the 1800s.
Yep.
It's pronounced theater.
And it's spelled TRE at the end, or Chad goes on.
TRE. I was just gonna get into that. I was just gonna say, you pronounce it E instead of ER.
Well, you're in Tennessee now, man. You could just go ahead and start saying theaters.
No, actually, the correct term is, and this is true also for Kentucky, I'm not shaming anybody, picture show. We're going to take Thelma Lou.
Moving show. Why they're moving pictures or something.
So they've got the Nickelodeon in town this weekend. That's obscure for a lot of our people. I don't know what that's a channel. Anyway, keep going.
But theaters were basically
Mm-hmm.
you know, how we created a business, you know.
Yeah.
And we just replaced films with, you know, with
actors with films. I mean, instead of live action.
film.
You're
It's just
absolutely right.
right. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I do know that if you think about it for one moment, it has changed so much since the year 2000.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was obviously changing through the 1990s. There were so many different versions that came out, but year 2000, and I would say that we really are at a time where the creativity of the writers and
Mm-hmm.
is really gotten better. I mean, right? We're seeing writing be the strong element. Whereas it used to be that the visuals were the stronger element, and now the writing is getting whip smart.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, if you've ever been in a film before, nobody disrespects the writers more than those who depend on it.
That's true. That's the first person that's fired is the writer. No one, rarely does a director get fired. It doesn't.
Well,
I mean, it has happened, but I mean, in the middle of production, they're going to replace the writer over and over.
I'm going to throw something else out here, though. Is
What?
that in general, the writers? It's funny. I think it's hilarious when people take a show and they look at the script that's related to the show,
Mm-hmm.
and they say, "Oh, well, you know, it's all right here in the script," which is such utter bullshit. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a script could be a million different films. You know, just the same script could be a million different films. It could look so different. It could have a different feel. It could be
Mhm.
cast differently and so forth. So the only thing that I'm saying now is that right now, the way things are structured, the writing has just been whip smart. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there are more people that are actually writing now.
Yeah.
You know, there are more people in the business. Also, I think that there's an egalitarian nature.
Ooh, big word.
Ooh, I know, big word. Sorry,
Big word.
egalitarian.
I'm stupid.
nature.
Keep going, man. I'm just fucking with keep going.
because the cost of making a film has dropped incredibly. I've just been talking to these people about a film that I'm making that since I've first heard about it has dropped from $2 million down to $250,000 to make the film as to how much they had. And the only thing that I had to say at the very beginning was,
Mm-hmm.
this is a vampire film, you know, so
Right.
it's not incredibly complicated.
Mhm.
It's a good script, but I turn around and say, you know, here's the problem that you have. If you want to get $2 million for it, you're not going to find it, because
Mhm.
why would you want to put $2 million into this? It's a $200,000 film. It can be
Uh-huh.
made for $200,000 as well as it could for $2 million. And with $2 million, I don't know where it gets you, because unless you can get a really big star in there to really, you know, not an up and comer or something like that. And the thing is they're not going for $2 million these days. They're going for $200 million projects.
Well, the middle movie's dead. The small
It's
30
really-
or 40, I mean, just the small film is dead, or the medium film. Like the small Bloomhouse horror films, huge, big, $200 million pictures. They do those. And it's not, because this is what I was talking to we've talked about it on Bonehead. It's not so much the $1 billion that they make as much as the $1 billion they make that moves the stock prices, and all the execs, that's where they bonus out, is with the stock prices.
Right. They're trying to, well, the thing is
because they're all conglomerates.
And the weird thing though is it has so much to do with foreign sales now. You can take a Marvel movie, you can change all the dialogue. You can change the voices, right? You can record over them and you can send it to anywhere, and there is not any weird syncretic like a Southern sense of humor or anything like that that's gonna make it so that it will not distribute just as well in India as it does in China.
Yeah.
Right. They make these films, and by the time we see them, they've been seen all over the world, and they've made way more than their money back already, right?
Yep.
So you might as well just call it, hey, we're going to the Marvels instead of, hey, we're going to the movies.
Well, and Iron Man 2 famously, I guess somewhat famously at least, I mean, they filmed additional scenes that were only for China because they put in his interaction with a Chinese actor, and I forget who it was, or an actress, I believe. But it was literally, we need this for this market.
Right.
I've not seen those scenes, but they were like, well, it helps with that market. And it took them 2 days to add it in and probably made them a few extra $1 million.
Yeah, a few $1 million. Well,
yeah,
but the thing is I'm saying that those things, that's why the big companies are making, DC, or they're making some superhero based thing, because they can't do a clever little comedy, because clever little comedies don't do well even in France, much less China or Russia, right?
So unless you have, and let's talk about an exception to that, and let's go back to streaming. So you have Knives Out that does really well in the United States, right?
Right.
It's kind of a murder mystery. It's also kind of a comedy. Once again, it's not going around the world. They're picking up for streaming because streaming is begging for content. Now, another point of this conversation that I wanted to bring in today was that not only did he criticize us for being just awful people and hating streaming and buying content and having something tangible in our hands, we also got criticized, or I did specifically. The criticism came towards me when I said they need a development exec at Netflix because of the horse shit. And then this man reminded me, aren't you the assholes who did multiple years on this, and you couldn't even remember 80% of the movies that came out in 1999?
Absolutely. What I was saying, and let me put it in my own words so that I only come out like half of a horse's ass.
I think I was like, let's do it Friday. Let's do it Friday.
What I meant
was,
was,
Nick, before you talk, can you take the oat bag off your face?
Oh, harsh.
Oh, sorry, that's your beard.
So,
I miss my COVID beard, so keep going.
So I think that what I was pointing out is you guys were kind of expressing that Netflix was a studio, which Netflix is not. Netflix is more of just broker. I mean, they're just throwing things out there, except for a very small slot that just happens to be their stuff, right? And in brokering, they don't. I mean, they are literally throwing shit up against the wall, and they're adjusting it by how much they pay for the brokerage of that given piece.
If I'm not mistaken, they're more like a high-end trauma.
Exactly. And the thing is you were also talking about how they're not looking at these pieces. They're looking at these pieces just in the aggregate. They're not in the specific. And you were saying that there were so many bad films. And so what I was going to say is, wait a minute. how about all the years that you guys did every film that came out in that year? And honest to God, if I'm saying that 98% of them were just pure dog shit,
Yeah.
am I not right?
Probably in the 90%.
I mean,
there was it 1982 we went off about a lot of people, and Mick, you know this, a lot of people say that's one of the best years of all time for genre, right? That's the John Carpenter's the thing. But
Right.
we were 6 months in that year or 5 months getting to something that we fucking knew the title of.
Yeah.
Here's
Or
the
that,
thing.
yeah.
And all
It's
those movies came out that summer.
It has actually surprised me. I did not know how many really bad films were it. The only way that I really knew that as it was going along, how many, like, and I don't mean bad films particularly, I mean unrecognizable.
Just no, forgettable.
Films that are, like,
Forgettable.
completely forgettable, because I have been blessed with a really strange resume.
Right.
I have a resume that is I don't care what you say about it, it's got a lot of recognizable stuff in it, right?
Yes.
That is,
right.
is recognizable today. Here's the thing. I've seen a lot of people's resumes that they surprised me. A perfect example is Jacques Haken. Jacques Haken was the was
Nightmare.
yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street and Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And then
The DP, right?
Yeah, he was the DP, right? And honest to God, the guy has been, there must be like 100 films, 120, 100, films past that, not one of which I had ever fucking heard of. And I looked at it and I go, well, that's really weird because, for one thing, Jacques is a very, very good DP. I have to say, to a certain extent, Jacques was not the easiest person to get along with.
Yeah.
And possibly it could be reflected in his, his resume. But there are so many people that I've seen that just had like the most unforgettable resumes, and a lot of them, it's like it just surprises me. I give you a really quick example. I remember that I was up for, I could have taken Nightmare on Elm Street 3, or there was another film at New Line. Oh God, I cannot remember the name of it. And that's exactly the problem. That was being pushed as hard as that, right? And and it was big, same budget, same whole thing. And
So
My Demon Lover.
My Demon Lover. You didn't do My Demon Lover? You could have worked with, is Stuart Pankin in that?
But here's the thing. I mean,
The one guy from
literally at that time, I had people going, well, if you take my, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, it's a third, right? And that's cursed. They did kind of prove to me that, our job was to reverse the curse, and I think that we did it. But
no, you don't go to conventions signing Nightmare on Elm Street 3 posters.
No,
You don't do 5 billion podcasts telling nightmare stories. No, none of that happened.
But My Demon Lover, I mean, there was like the same enthusiasm for it at the time, as there was Nightmare on Elm Street, and people going, yeah, you should take that because that's new, because that's going to be new. And I was like, well,
and it had Scott Valentine.
Chad, I was about to ask you, was that guy's name Valentine?
Yeah,
He
from
was
Family Ties.
Family Ties. He was What's-Her-Face's boyfriend.
And I have to tell you the honest truth. That was why I didn't take it. I didn't take it because there was a curse on coming from TV into movies back then.
Unless you're Michael J. Fox from the same fucking show.
Right, exactly. But even Michael J. Fox had a lot of really funky stuff come out. I mean,
I don't know what you mean. Teen Wolf is an
Teen Wolf?
absolute treasure. Absolute treasure. The only thing that's more valuable is Teen Wolf 2 with Jason Bateman.
By the way, though, say what you will about the Teen Wolf franchise.
I don't even remember it. Yeah.
The gestalt of Teen Wolf, if you will. It got a TV series that a lot of people, if I don't mention, will hurt us.
That's
like,
true.
there's some people that love that show. And when I'm like, I've never seen it, but I liked the Michael J. Fox movie when I was a kid.
One of them happens to be Kurt.
Does he like Teen Wolf the series?
Oh, Kurt is absolutely everything for Kurt is Teen Wolf. And the great thing is I pointed out to him the worst thing. I said, you know, you really like Teen Wolf. I said, look at it now in the revised framing of it. And the weird, and if you do, you know, the thing where he's surfing up on top of the van.
Oh my God, I don't remember the movie.
Well, here's the thing. Well, that's the big thing is him surfing up on top of the van as a werewolf it was like such a big deal in the film. You know, it was kind of like an anchor to, like, you know, how hip he was. And the thing is in the reframing of it, you can literally see the motorcycle on both sides with the circles blowing, you know, like this, you know, and you can see, because of the high resolution, you can see the cables and the whole, it's like, oh well, yeah, that's hardly as spectacular.
We've talked about this before. There's some movies who do not benefit from 4K.
Smokey and the Bandit.
You really don't, man.
Smokey and the Bandit's a good one, by the way. Oh my God. Sally Field stunt double in one scene has a mustache.
And she's supposed to be driving the car, and it's a long frame.
You clearly see that that's a dude in that wedding gown.
And he's
I would say that the girl jumping through the scene in The Hidden.
I haven't seen The Hidden in a long time. That's Jack Shoulder, right?
That's Jack Shoulder, yeah. You know, because I'm about to, like, do a film with Jack Shoulder again.
I have saw that, and we will get to that in a second, because we want all the scoops.
Will you please never say scoops like that again in front of me, Joe?
That's you know what?
I feel like I need an adult.
Probably.
That literally sounded like something that fell out of a serial killer's ass.
Yeah, I want all the scoops. So anyway, we'll get to Jack Shoulder in a second. Who actually, and he was nice enough never just to return my messages, so I always appreciated that. But back to, I do have a hack question for you, and it's something we've had many conversations. I've never asked you this, but is there one that you've turned down in your memory? And I don't think it's ever come up of anything I've ever listened to you. And if it has, I apologize, but is there something that turned down your memory? Is like, shit, I should have took that.
Any podcast but this one.
Well, I just movie, because I mean,
honestly,
you were busy, man, for 20 years there. I mean, you were cracking right along.
No, I know. I never, you know, the film that I took was the one that came up next. Like literally anybody that called me, you know, I was like, yeah, I'll go do that.
It's just one of the so Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and My Demon Lover just happened to be one of those where you accidentally had two offers on the table.
Yeah. Right. Let's put it this way. You have to understand kind of how this works. Okay. You're getting offers constantly, right? But as you get an offer, it has to be pretty early in the process for you to be a production designer.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that there is this constant spill, and you immediately say, I'll take that. Right. And then its development goes from 1 month, you know, and it stretches back out for a couple of years. Right.
Yeah. And
so anything that you're locked on is probably definitely not going to be the thing that you were going to do.
Yeah, like any other part of the business, right? So that's exactly the reason, like directors and Del Toro being famous for having 10 movies going at the same time.
I'm just telling you, everybody, and it's a business that everybody is doing it. Like, I'm playing that right now. I mean, I've got Jack Shoulder. I'm gonna jet off to like Canada for 2 weeks to go do a film in Canada. But technically, I was supposed to be working this week. I was supposed to be starting this week, but that film has moved back, while another film it's moved all the way back to like maybe this February of next year. And this other film has moved back in so that it's going to be right after this Canadian film that I'm doing. And the thing is by the time I get back from Canada, it's going to be all that's going to be completely different. And that's what it's like to be in this business. You know, it is hard from a crew point of view in particular, you know, the leads of the crew and directing and being being the main characters, the DP, or being the production designer, or being the effects designer, or being the wardrobe person. All those things are in a constant state of like, I've got 4 or 5 of them, and all of them are in different stages of ignorance.
Yeah.
You know? and if any given one says that, you know, it's going to be a $20 million film, by the time you do it, it's going to be $20 in a BJ, and the one that was going to go for $5 is going to wind up shooting in the Titanic yard down in Mexico for 200 million. You know, I mean, it's literally. I give you the weirdest example of this. I remember when I got a film called Teeny Weenies. I don't know if you guys know what that became.
No.
Oh yeah, I do. Honey, I Shrunk.
Yeah, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids,
were
right?
you Were you on it with Stuart?
You know, here's the weird thing. So I get on it with this. I think his name was John Ambrose. Okay, and he was on it as prop master.
Okay,
and I was on it as developing the creatures, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm working and not all the creatures, I was just working on an ant. Right?
No, well, hold on before you keep. Was this when Stuart Gordon was going to direct it? Because he dropped out at the last minute.
Right back. Yeah, this is right back. And so, so I'm literally doing another show, and every time in between going to the set, I was doing effects because I could do effects on that show while carving out this enormous giant ant with Scott. Right. And so we finished this ant, you know, which was literally done in pieces so that we could then assemble it and then put it back in the van in the truck, you know, and go on down the road with it and still prop on this other film and do effects on this other film. And I think literally we were moving it across town, or we're going to drop it off at the offices of Teeny Weenies. And when we finally made it across town, and I don't mean like we drove it directly. I mean, we were like 3 or 4 days, and we were going to be, you know, over by the beach, you know, filming, you know, like in 3 days. And by the time we got there, Teeny Weenies, literally the door of the office, somebody had scratched it out and said, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then put an address as to where that was with a new phone number. And that was how we found out that it was now all somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. For the other two.
And at that point.
Well, for the other two, it was Brian. Oh my God. Who was Brian Yuzna? And Stuart Gordon wrote that story and wrote that screenplay. And Stuart Gordon was going to be the director. And he dropped out. He said he was going to have his doctor said, I think you're going to have a heart attack. He just never done anything that big.
What did Useneff do? Does anybody know?
Do I know? Oh yeah, Bride of Reanimator.
Society. And Society.
Wow.
And Society is. So, have you seen Society?
I don't think so. I think I may be.
Oh my God.
Wait, Society is that I may be remembering this wrong. Does that involve a scene with a swimming pool near the end of the film?
I don't think so.
Now I'm looking up. Did you work on Society? The Society?
I have a friend who worked on Society. It's just something that I followed at the time. I was just like, that is the most whacked out script. It's
directed by Yuzna. You're right.
It has a scene with Screaming. He did it with Screaming Mad George, and Screaming Mad George made an appliance that was the size of a room that involved in the entire cast in it, which and all of them naked, and there was a lot of writhing involved in it, and oh my God. The thing is this, I have to say this, is if you ever get a chance if you ever get a chance, you need to see Society.
It was on the shelf for 3 years. It can't. You're absolutely right. They made it in '89, which would have been right around the same time as Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and it sat on the shelf for 3 years.
Okay, you will know so much more about this whole situation if you look at that film. You know, because it is the crazy ass. It's look up a couple of images. Just bring them up. Of images.
I mean, I'm looking at a VHS tape, and it looks like somebody is a face is coming through somebody's butthole.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
And it says Society. It's all about fitting in.
Hold on. Sorry, I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know there was going to be a sequel that was developed but never made. Now we'll never know how it was all going to end.
How they got that guy's butt off of that other guy's face.
I mean,
Society 2 Body Modification was in development with the script written by Stephen Biro. There you go.
And the sad part is I just keep looking over and there's the face just staring at me.
Out of the butt. Now, so Screaming Mad George made that, huh?
Yes. Yeah. But the biggest appliance, the big it is really, really amazing. There's a coming together of the entire cast.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these pictures. If you're listening now and you're not driving, Google 1989 Society. He's right. Now I've got to track this damn thing down. I've never seen it.
Well, we can watch it in a couple of months.
Yes.
My good friend Nick Benson was one of the operators that was up underneath there operating and putting that together. And I also worked with him on Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Oh, really?
He did a lot of the lead work on putting together the cockroach sequence.
Uh-huh. Oh, you can watch it on Tubi, guys. You can watch Society on Tubi.
Oh,
Yay!
really?
Yeah.
You guys have to do it. You have to do it. It is just
Mick, you want to crash at my house and get drunk and watch it with us?
it is so far out there.
Sleepover, closer to Halloween.
And then we can also watch crap, Joe. What's the movie we said we were going to watch? Otto Preminger. Groucho Marx.
Oh, a Skidoo. Have you ever heard of this, Mick? It's a famous flop. It had Groucho Marx. It was directed by Otto Preminger and Jackie Gleason, right, Chad?
Yeah. Oh,
it's a comedy from the late 60s. Yeah. Look up this. It's called Skidoo.
I got to check that out.
It is notoriously terrible. And it was actually Groucho Marx's last film before he died.
So did it cause him to die? Probably
we
not.
can't.
Well,
we don't know.
And why did he do it? Because Chico needed the money.
So back, Mick.
Moving onward.
Well, no,
Hey, wait. Have we killed all this?
Basically, there's a guy looking.
And by the way, Joe didn't
asshole.
do it. Joe didn't do it justice. Jackie Gleason, Carol Channing, Frankie Avalon,
It's
Burgess
just
Meredith,
wonderful that
Caesar
you're
Romero.
Carol Channing.
Wow,
Slim
that
Pickens.
sounds like small world.
It's a mad world.
Yeah, that too.
You've been drinking.
Oh, I thought he was joking. You were.
By the way,
It's
no,
the beard follicles have eaten his brain.
Now that he's just pitched it, now we need to get Disney on the phone. The entire world gets shrunk by Rick Moranis, not his character. We actually have Rick Moranis do it.
Yeah,
He's bored.
Wait. Wasn't that an episode of Star Trek or something?
Maybe.
It doesn't matter. Everything's been an episode of Star Trek at this point.
It really doesn't matter.
Now, Chad, you've wanted to ask this man about one project for how many years now? How long have we been friends with him?
Ever since
4
we
years.
met him at Scarefest in that conference room, and I didn't get to ask the question because
this September, October is 4 years, Mick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
my son
God.
was just a few months old. That's how I'm doing the. He just turned 4, so yeah, it'll be 4 years we've known each other.
See if you actually come up to somebody as they're walking out of a room and go, "Hey, that."
And you did
that. I walked over to you.
You walked it. Yeah, you introduced yourself to me after you took Robert England away from me an hour and a half before that, trying to get some crippled kid's Freddy gloves signed. Go, Robert, you signed. He's about to tell me all these Tarantino stories because he can talk. He's a Rankin.
Oh my God. Robert.
He can talk. He needs his own
guy-
panel.
The guy, he was born with his mouth moving and has never stopped.
And for me, it's fine. And specifically in what I do,
makeup,
it's great.
The makeup people, I sort of got Howard Berger used to just sit there and kid about ways that he would, like to have to deal with Robert. He would say, son, every time Robert would walk out, he'd say, I sort of God, next time I'm just going to sew his lips shut, or next time I'm going to just hit him with a wrench, or because they would, and they would like get him to promise. And if you were in the trailer when they got down to like this area, putting the mouth on, then you had to, they'd kick you out because he just couldn't stop himself.
Yeah, he's and it's great for fans. It's great for people to interview him. It's amazing, but he just can talk. And then as he was dragged away from this redneck from Kentucky by this other man, sorry, it's funny. So Chad, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw it. I posted on Facebook. I said, he's back. And I actually took a picture of your name in the credits.
Yes. What was that?
Mantis.
Oh, I thought James did that. I didn't know you did that.
No, that was me.
Is that Mantis?
That is Mantis. I was watching it today. I actually own the DVD, the complete series on DVD.
Is that off of the series, or is that off of that's off of the original movie?
That's the original movie. Yeah, the pilot movie that you.
Oh, that's really weird because I didn't recognize it. And I not kidding. I was looking at that going, son of a bitch. I don't remember seeing my name like that.
Well, and here's what's funny. And before we talked about Mantis, I do got to mention this. It's kind of weird now that we're friends. I will watch a movie. Like, for example, I decided to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, completely forgetting your work on it. And your name shows up in the opening credits, and I just start doing this.
Well, no, hey, not to take anything away from Mick, but we also have had the director on the show because of Mick. We did two-part with Jeff. Actually, Jeff Burr was a
wait, guys. I'm having trouble.
Oh, who's pausing? I can see Chad. Did you catch up, Mick?
Yeah, I think that we're caught up. Eric Landeville?
What? No, Jeff Burr.
Yeah. God damn it.
Well, he's freezing, and so is James. But Chad,
let me refresh because I'm not getting any of this conversation.
That's okay. James,
I don't know if I'm actually froze. I don't think I am. I'm just sitting.
No, James just hasn't moved.
Holy
James
shit.
has just not moved. I could tell.
Chad, I thought he was just froze.
No,
Did he
James,
have a stroke?
I'm like a cobra. I coil and then strike, except I'm not really.
Well, why Mick is fixing his things up.
No, he moved. He just jumped at the camera.
We're back, and we have the combination of the air shield. Anyway,
so you saw my name and you threw up.
I was literally just like geeking out when I saw your name on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I completely forgot. I just happened to. I was like, oh, I haven't watched that in a while. I need to watch it. And your name showed up on the credits, and literally, I was like a little school kid. I was like, going, "Yeah, I know that guy. I know that guy."
Well, and I was telling him, Mick, I was like, not only do you know that guy, you did a 2-part interview with the damn director.
And I completely
because of Mick. I forgot. I mean,
that's right. Yeah,
because he would never return any messages. And then when you said you should do this guy's a show, I won't give the details on here, but phone numbers were exchanged. We were great. We hit it off. We spent over 2 hours with Jeff and had a fantastic time.
Jeff is a great guy. I am actually going to see Jeff next weekend.
Oh, are you going to a convention in Georgia?
Yeah, no. I'm going to one in Knoxville, I think.
Knoxville.
Yeah, SpookyCon.
Maybe. Well, good.
Yeah, RA is going to be there. And he's going to be there.
Good.
And I think and literally, now get this.
All I heard was they need a moderator.
I am driving Joe Dugan out there.
Oh, John Dugan. Are you picking him up in Louisville?
John Dugan lives right down the street from me.
I thought he lived in Louisville. I am so sorry.
No, he lives kind of like kind of like the just barely the next county away. It's probably 15 minutes.
So you
I didn't be embarrassing, you know.
I didn't know you guys were that close.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, I love John Dugan. John Dugan is there are two people that I know that are actually further left than I am in politics.
He's one.
Howard Thornton. David Howard Thornton, right?
From the Terrifier movies. The clown.
Terrifier.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so far left, even I stand there and go, really?
I'm friends with both of them on social media, and actually I've met both of them and have interviewed David for Scarefest, and you're absolutely positively right about both those gentlemen. 90% of their politics is not about Terrifier, or 90% of their posts are not about those horror films they are in.
Oh, no,
about their politics.
They're about politics.
Yes.
And Dugan's hilarious because Dugan hasn't not been drunk or stoned since 1974, and that's his estimation, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
and it is him. It's funny because they've got the politics lined up, and then Rob Mello, and these are guys that I keep seeing again and again, right? Rob Mello and Dugan are the ones that you can walk by and get drunk on the way to just sitting down. You know, it's like a contact thing. They just, if they breathe on you, if you say hi to both of them, by the time you sit down, you're drunk and you're arguing left in politics.
So I met John in Chicago many years ago, and he's not going to remember this, and I don't expect him to. Before I was doing conventions, when I just went as a fan, and he was signing.
I have to keep calling him up to remind him that he's actually going on Friday. So he's not going to.
Well, that's okay. He left. No, that's okay. He also left that show. Tony Timpone, who used to run Fangoria and was over the conventions, was on the stage going, well, "Where's John?" Well, somebody in the back goes, "He left his table an hour ago. It was early Sunday morning. He's supposed to be doing the Q&A."
Oh, well,
he was driving back home. But yes, he was talking about how he got robbed many years ago when someone stole a bunch of Texas Chainsaw posters, and he goes, "Do you think this is one of them?" No, I'd never met him before. He's told me this long story, and then he's my poster of being stolen property.
But he is fucking with you. He is fucking with everybody all the time. It's great because, you know, I'm kind of that way myself.
Yes, yes.
No,
it's
not you, man. By the way, Mick, I've been waiting to say this to you for 3 years.
You love him and want to have.
Yes, but is it bad? And I don't even know if he remembers this. Is it bad that it took me 6 months to see the penis?
Did it?
I feel there's some context.
Are you kidding me?
All you had, hold on. Really bad joke. All you had to do was lift his stomach.
Yeah.
that was more for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Mick. Yeah. So for example,
context, guys.
To give people, I'm going to.
You said the weirdest thing. You said the weirdest thing when I got it to you. You said, "Oh, well, yeah, that's nice." And I was like, "Huh, that's really weird," because literally I made a microphone that was a penis.
Yeah. So Mick. Yeah. So Mick, if you haven't bought his book Behind the Screams, I mean, Mick will pitch you how to buy it here in a little bit, but you need to check it out. And the one thing that's awesome about it is when you buy it, Mick signs it and he puts his little spin on it. Joe's going to whine that he didn't get that.
I've never gotten it.
But anyway, so Mick graciously photoshopped me holding a microphone at our local Scarefest convention, the Scarefest. He put hair on me, and it was like this almost Velma type mop hairdo. And that's all I saw. And then Mick is calling me going, I said, "Mick, thanks for the picture. It's really great." And he's going, "Oh, was that too much? Are you okay? I didn't offend you, did I?" And I'm like, he just put hair on me. And I don't know what he was talking about. We exchanged back and forth. And then about 6 months later, I whip it back out and I'm reading more into it. And
are you talking about the hair, right? Or the penis?
The book. You whip the book out.
And then I looked, and then I just go back to look at the picture, and he put this giant dong right in front of my mouth. I never saw it. All I saw was the hair.
The heart wants what the heart wants, Chad. It's
Wants.
okay.
I just
Yeah, I like that. The heart wants what it wants. Yeah,
Not the heart on, the heart.
You know what? I knew that you were missing that too. I knew that you weren't getting it, but I sort of got words that are come out that you got a in your hand.
you got a
broke
what?
up. I didn't
You
hear
broke
anything
up.
you said.
All
I
I
didn't
heard was a come and.
Which here you no.
There you go.
I didn't want to literally call up and go, yeah, I put a dick in your hand.
Never saw. And then it was an extra.
You
It was an
shut up.
extra giggle. I didn't even read the book that day. I just kept looking at the pictures, giggling. I'm like, I can't believe I didn't see the dick.
It's like he never read it before. Did you ever ask your Mantis question?
No, we were getting ready to. Yeah, no. And then, so Mantis, James and I have repeatedly talked about, we love all those early 90s, mid 90s comic book movies, regardless of how bad they are. And Mantis don't falls into that category. I still say Mantis is one of those forgotten treasures in terms of superhero storytelling. It's great. And it's been forgotten. And, the DVD series has been discontinued. That's one of my prizes in my collection is I own that now and it's been discontinued.
And you know what? The thing is it then went to Canada to be done.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can tell.
And they with white people, which I thought was.
Yeah. And that was one thing that bothered me. Yeah. Because the first episode, especially if you look at it today, Mick, are you there? You froze up.
Now Mick broke up. What was he saying about white people? What's happened? Did they whitewash it after the first
Yeah.
episode?
So the
pilot?
very first episode is if you watch that first episode today, it's very reflective of what's going on with the Me Too or the Black Lives Matter movement. It really is. Don't you think?
It really is. Absolutely. I do not Zoom come back in all the way.
That's okay. Are we losing Mick?
Well, when Mick comes back. So that first episode is strongly African-American based.
Now
And
that was
then-
created by Sam Raimi and Sam Hamm,
Sam
right?
Hamm, yeah. And then when it got picked up for series, they replaced all the African-American characters with the exception of Carl Lumbly with white people.
I don't think I knew that because
So
I
they
watched
whitewashed it big time.
I watched the pilot, but I don't think I ever made it. I never watched the series.
And I don't know how James felt. Mantis for me was a show I truly loved, even when it went. And it tried to tell some serious stories even after it whitewashed, and then as it met towards its end, they really went full on ham, like syndication ham with they had like weird villains with stupid powers. It's still great. And when Mick comes back, I would hopefully get this is a story that's been 4 years in the making because I've been wanting to talk to him about Mantis.
And the
and his
problem is
involvement.
he busted the Mantis cherry on another podcast, right?
I know it pissed me off
I hadn't listened to it actually.
because all I wanted to the first 2 episodes we did, I was like, I want to get a Mantis story in, and we just never did. And then he told another podcast, and they focused solely on that. I'm like, and I didn't listen to it because I want to talk to him about it.
He's so prolific. Worked on every damn thing on earth, and he's left us. We're
Yeah,
assuming he's
he's
not
not-
come back, so we'll just keep bullshitting for a while. We've actually been.
It's all that tin in his office. It's just bound. The Wi-Fi signal can't bounce anywhere.
But no shit. I guess I would just keep this in. But no shit. If he posts about a movie or something, but for his home improvement stuff, I have to go look.
Yeah, it's amazing.
No, I'm just talking about his house. Yeah, I
know, I am too.
understand. I don't understand why the algorithm of Facebook works that way.
Oh, yeah.
Why I see certain things and other things I don't. Oh well.
But yeah, I was wondering if he would know where that credit scene was coming from. Yeah, I was watching it today in prep because I wanted to. I've watched it several times because, like I said, I own the DVDs, and you can't find it anywhere now,
So
which again is a shame.
We'll do a plug for Mick. If you've never actually read his book about Nightmare on Elm Street 4, definitely check it out. Hold on, we're plugging you, Mick. Are you there? Are you back? Can you hear us? Do you need a Ouija board?
Oh no, he's
Karen?
moving. He moved a little bit.
Karen, can you hear me? Do you?
I'm back. Sorry, guys.
It's
Come
okay.
into the light, Carol Ann. Oh wait, no, different thing.
I was actually plugging your book right before you came on.
Oh, well, my book is behind the screens.
I know. The Making of Nightmare on Elm Street 8.
That
No, making of, and then also the making of Elm Street, not the making of M Street.
Making the M Street
8th Street 7. It's great.
7.
So yeah, no, back on Mantis. So what you were saying before you broke out was the fact that that first that pilot episode was very African American based and is very reflective of the Black Lives Matter movement today.
Right. It really was. And God, what a cast.
Yeah, and then then when it got picked up for series, they whitewashed it.
You know, it's amazing because it was such a perfect example of how you really fuck up a TV show.
Isn't it?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that because you just like, it's like if you said to somebody, well, yeah, I know we'd take a black based show and you know what, the only thing that really would improve it from this point is let's take all the black characters out.
Yep.
Right.
Except for the main character, right?
Except for the main character and still try and make it a black themed show. Well, all of a sudden now, well, we can't theme it on anything black because we've only got one, black character. So we're just going to have to go to really bad, typical crime. And that's what they did. And you're like, huh.
Yeah. And I was telling them as the show was
Canada did it.
Yeah, and as the show was in the death throes, as they were they knew it was ending. They were like really just throwing really hammy scripts, creating weird, stupid villains that they were just trying to give him a rogues gallery that just didn't work. And it was just I've watched it 2 or 3 times since I bought it on DVD, and it's still just you just watch the degradation of what was a really good show.
One of the things that I thought was really strange about that show was that I mean there were so many things that was just so interesting about working with an all black crew. It was, for one thing, it was very difficult to get together. The industry, to say the least, was not representative at that point. And interesting thing, there were a couple of interesting things like them asking me, of any other
You're breaking
up. Well, I didn't even know that this was a black show that was happening. but the weirdest thing was the weirdest thing for me, and trying to work through it was that I mean I got along with everybody. I had a great time, but when we got together at the very end for the crew photo, all of a sudden I understood what it was like to be the 1 or 2 black people in a white crew photo.
Yep.
Because now I was the white guy in a pure black crew photo, and basically what I was, a glowing white orb in the middle of the shot.
So was that your question, Chad?
Yeah, I was just wanting a story about, because I was really fascinated with it because of your work on it and the direction they were trying to go with it, and it almost succeeded.
I thought that I thought that it looked really good especially for the low amount of money on it. I mean, we did like, I came up with this concept of like going with the golds and greens and yet making them metallic and glowing in against all these forms that were very sweeping, and trying to maintain that through and maintain that with the car and so forth. I think that they really fell down on like the optics of it, because literally, I'm not kidding. This is really true. I talked to the optic guy and I said, well, the windows that we have, have got this shape in them, and I'll send you pictures of the windows so that you can copy the shape. And he says, oh no, he said, we somewhere around here we've got a model that we're going to shoot with. It was from some I think it was a cornflake commercial that we did like 2 months ago, and that's what they used as the model for the exterior of it, because it was there.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, that was one of the hardest parts. What was it was a Cadillac, right, Mick?
Yeah, it was based on a Buick Riviera, a 67 boat tail Buick Riviera.
Okay. And it transforms into this metallic, slim, flying car, and the transformation just did not work. There was no.
That was a case of horror. Would have been better. It would have been better just to cut to another car, right? Just like, oh, we're done. Oh, good. We got through there with that one.
But they did. Camera pans over, you hear the transformer noise, and then you go back.
Oh, and there it is. You can afford cool sounds.
So you do podcasts now quite a bit. You have your own. You do other folks. You're very giving of your time. And it sounds like I'm, being a kiss ass, and I guess I slightly am, but I do appreciate the actual fan service that you do. But I'm curious about this, and you and I have talked about first, second, and third acts of our lives. And I don't know if you remember last summer, you and I probably talked an hour or two about something that was similar to this. And I was curious, and I was really in a dark place, and you helped me a little bit. And I don't even know if you knew that. Oh. Christy knows that, but I don't know that you knew that. I don't know that the other two knew that. So I appreciate that. But what I'm getting to is in this, and I'm sorry to use third act of your life. It's not that you're dead. You can have 15 acts.
I ain't dead yet.
Right. You're not quite dead. So I'm curious, how much of it is pure joy to be able to go to some of these conventions and talk to some folks who have latched onto things that were just a show for you for 2 months, right?
Right.
30 years ago, that it was a job because you were just clamoring, because you and I have talked about this. It's like, I didn't plan any of this shit. I needed to get a job. I had 14,000 kids in home. We had to pay the mortgage. There, we lived in this blah, 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 and I had to pay for it. And I'm curious how much of it is just pure joy and how much of it is aggravation. Because I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I was on Critters too. Keep going. By the way, you have a wonderful Critters 2 and a wonderful Electric Boogaloo story. But that being said.
Well, the funny thing is, and I wanted to mention that, you don't, it may seem like when I'm talking about it, like, oh, all of a sudden I wound up here. And so when you wind up in a place, you especially as a production designer or whatever I happen to be designing or doing, you actually did your best at it. And you tried to be as creative as possible, and you tried to, and the competition was stiff, and all of us were just, absolutely trying our best. And then when it's done, then you move on. And in my case, maybe more of the mercenary aspect of my personality would come in, and it's funny because there have been some TV shows that presented what it was like about working on a show. Mm-hmm. I forget this one show that I saw, that the actors are walking out of the building and they're saying, it's the final shot, and everybody took it, and the actors are walking, mm-hmm. and the DP and everybody's walking down the stairs of the final building that they're filming in. And at the top of the stairs, they're saying, "Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't answer my phone. I'm not going to answer my phone for 3 months, and I can't. I'm so tired. Yeah, I can barely." And then, as they come down the stairs, one of them turns around and says, "Well, I kind of got this thing coming up next week." And then by the time they get to the bottom of the stairs, absolutely everybody has glommed onto this one guy, to see if they can get on that one film, whatever he's working on. And that's exactly what it was like. Yes. And it was really weird, because you would be in a completely different group of people that you're around.
It's a gig economy. You're working for the next, you're trying to find another gig.
Yeah.
It never stops.
Absolutely. It never saw, and it's funny because what you're saying right there kind of coincides with like the second act of mine, where I'm starting back in again, and I've got all these offers coming, and you're just stacking them up, and you're stacking them up into the order of whoever comes first.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's like as soon as the plane ticket is good.
When the money is in the bank.
Money is in the bank. I remember that there used to be this motto is make sure that you always get a round trip ticket.
That's fun.
Which is really, you cannot believe what a stigma in the business that is. It's like, yeah, I want a return ticket. It doesn't have to be right. I just need both of them at once.
Yeah, Peter Fonda talked about that in his autobiography, where he did a lot of low budget films later on in his life, and he actually gave the details. And it was interesting that it stuck in my head 15, 20 years after I've read this book of this money needs to be in escrow. I'm not showing up till this money clears.
Right. Well, it's the thing about the ticket, it's like,
that's the same thing. If you have a return ticket, you want
a return ticket, and then it's real.
Yep. And then if I'm not mistaken, there's a story where Bob Hope would take women with him to the Vietnam shows.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't give them he would threaten that he wouldn't take them back to America unless they slept with him. So
is that true?
It's a story I've heard.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. So that's a good reason to have a ticket.
It is a good reason to have a ticket. I'll sleep with you, Mick, for
by the way,
I have to tell you that bad behavior has just been the key word of this business for so long.
Yes.
It's like when what's his name?
Weinstein.
Weinstein. When Weinstein went down, and all this stuff is coming up, and I'm going, yeah.
I never knew why people are shocked by it.
Yeah, you got to be kidding me. It's like I'm 100% sure that he wasn't the worst. And here's the thing. And here's the thing. We pretend like this doesn't happen because we're being very politically correct with the Weinstein thing. We're not. What we aren't pretending is that there aren't 100 women trying to get into the same position that everybody else did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was a horrible thing, but I saw the people from both sides, all the way through.
That is a fascinating point that we interviewed, and I'm going to look at the other two boneheads. We had a famous scream queen on here last year who talked about that, and she was very honest. Her first name may be Deb, and I'll throw this out later. And she was very honest, going, if we're going to tell the story,
we
need to tell because there were women who knew exactly what they were doing.
And here's the thing,
navigated it and used it well. I mean, she was, gentlemen, I'm very blunt with it, was she not?
James wasn't in on that one, if I'm not mistaken.
But
Chad,
she was very blunt, and that was her whole point. If you're going to tell the story, we really should tell the whole story.
You really got to tell the whole story, and it certainly doesn't make it doesn't make it any better at all or right. It's just let's put it this way. It's just that this doesn't happen down at the cement plant.
I've got
So I'm telling you, the guys at the gravel plant don't have this problem.
I think obviously I've been going to the wrong gravel plant.
I think it does happen. I mean, we see some of this stuff. Well, okay, funny story. I will not say certain places I work. I mean, I will say I hear stories, and James and I have made jokes about this, Chad, a little bit, but James and I, there's this one particular story, and I'll tell you all this later. And we're like, what are you talking about? We never witnessed any of this. And it all happened but we never witnessed it. We were like, what's wrong with us? Why was no one hitting on us?
Oh,
yeah. It's this happens
Right,
all the
Chad?
time.
Yeah.
And
Like this happens all the time. You didn't know X was the BJ I was like, no, I had no clue.
There were three
What
of
was
us,
wrong with
and
the
it never
boneheads?
came up.
Yeah.
Never came up.
Yeah.
Nobody.
This sort of thing would never happen in higher education.
Oh shit. Here's something else we'll talk about real quick with higher ed. Same thing. And I've talked about it with the other two, and I've talked about it with colleagues. The amount of women who sleep with their professors and vice versa, but it's a little bit more towards that we never know about. It's completely between, you know what I mean? Between usually consenting adults, although there's a power play there.
You mean
How
what you
often
meant
has
was
that
this
happened
different.
over the ages?
Oh yeah. Hello.
But
And
along with
you
this
used to, you
topic,
could get away with a lot. And I'm going to say a lot of them could get away with it more than they can now.
well, I mean, Errol Flynn has his entire autobiography is called "My Wicked, Wicked Ways," and he tells stories where you're like, oh man. I mean, if I write my autobiography, I'm going to try to make myself look good, and he does not bother with that. He's like, no, I did terrible stuff, and here I'm going to tell you about it. If you've never read My Wicked, Wicked, it's a good time. Like, I honestly, it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm fascinated by Errol Flynn, but I would not let him near my children.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But bringing this up actually brings up something, because I think, you've worked on films. Films are collaborative. You built stuff for films and all that. And that's one of the things that I often think about is some of these people that we no longer, I'll just use a name, not to offend him, but Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey did a lot of
Kevin
films.
Spacey does not offend me.
But I mean, Kevin Spacey, a lot of people were furious and justifiably. That being said, somebody made the comment, well, you shouldn't watch Kevin Spacey films. You don't want to support that. And I'm like, but a lot of other people. Annette Bening worked really hard. I mean, these other people.
Yeah. No. It comes, I hate to say this, but I don't think that there's, I certainly don't like Bill Cosby, but
is Bill Cosby
understand
still
him.
funny?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what people's jobs had to do with that. If a guy at Exxon Oil, rises to the top, and all of a sudden we find that I mean, do we put a lot of the oil back?
Yeah.
I just, it absolutely confounds me, because look, how about your rock stars, right? Come on. I mean, it's not like we don't know like bad behavior.
We still listen to Led Zeppelin.
Well, Led
every
Zeppelin.
day.
By the way, Led Zeppelin is exactly who was going through my mind, Chad, of maybe someone has some of the worst stories with road
or the Who.
Or the Who. Yeah.
It's I think it's a ridiculous thing to go back and destroy, because a lot of other people were involved in all that, and I don't know what the one has to do with the other. I just really don't.
Well, and that's just what I was about to say. So I was just wondering how because my entire thing is, because I struggle with it sometimes, but I go back to that phrase, separate the art from the artist. Like Lord Byron couldn't be buried in a Catholic cemetery for however many years, 100 years, because he was banned. And then it's like, wait a second.
I mean, that would be like saying that because Jerry Garcia took heroin, that we should, eliminate everything that Jerry Garcia ever played. And so you would eliminate the most recorded artist in the world.
Oh, really? I mean, they only had that one song, Truckin'. Watch this. He's a deadhead. He's going to kill me while he's high on acid.
Remember, the good acids for the drummer. Anyway, but
he's
no,
going to get
right.
the brown stuff
right.
and
The
go
good
all
stuff.
crazy machete.
They save the good stuff for the drummers because they don't ever get laid.
But I honestly, and that's the entire thing, because I just wondered what your thoughts were on that, because I do think it's one thing, and like I use Kevin Spacey because it's in my head, because she's older now, but when my daughter was younger, He did the 9 Lives movie where he becomes a cat.
Right.
It's not Shakespeare. But my daughter
Barry
loved it.
Sonnenfeld's directing career, if I'm not mistaken.
My daughter loved that film, and I was like, "Well, it's for her age group at that time." She loved it, and when all that happened, somebody's like, "Are you going to let her watch it?" I'm like, "Well, he doesn't begin the movie by looking into the camera and going, I touch people inappropriately. I'm a cat."
Plus, she isn't dumb enough to equate the actor with the character.
Yeah, right.
You know? I just think I guess I'm too old to really understand it or give a shit one way or the other. And especially having been there, I just saw so much really horrible. It's the thing is this is in this business we become liars because and it's hard not to become a liar because everything that we're doing is a fantasy anyway. I mean, we're trying to retell our stories and we remake ourselves and all the rest of that in order to create these characters, in order to create these stories. And we all become liars in the business. It's something that in the end, eventually kind of gets to an awful lot of people.
Well, I'm curious. Is there anybody who's maybe passed on or something? You were talking about there was a lot worse, and I know you don't want to say names, but I mean, are we talking? And it's not just studio execs. We're talking about people who anyone in power, correct, took advantage, or not anyone, but a lot of people in power took credit. I mean, directors, probably writers. What are you laughing about?
Okay,
production designers, maybe production designers on that Roman Street 3. Why did you touch me, Mick? And why did you stop?
I'm going to tell you just a little story.
Please. That's what I'm looking for. But I understand you don't want to probably name names.
I was on a film that it might have been like the only actually I did a couple hero films.
And we named them both, but there was one that was really famous with a director you did not care for.
Well, yeah, no, it was the other one.
Okay.
It was the Corman one, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say there's a guy, and I just recently found out that he became a director, and I thought, oh, isn't that wacky? But at the time, he was the talent coordinator, AD. Like I think like third or fourth AD. The guy that just like got the. Oh, go get so and so from the set.
Go get him from the trailer. Yeah.
Right.
He's got the headphones on, going, I can't get Arnold Schwarzenegger to stop playing chess. That guy.
So one day, and I don't know what, it's probably because I had a little office, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's, so people would come by and hang at my office because there wasn't any place else on the Carmen lot, that you wouldn't sink through the plywood and sink into the floor. So, people would like get in the 2 chairs that I had in my office as I was working. And he brings in this huge notebook, right? It has, the big broad, like 4-inch side, right? So, and like the pages inside of it are the plastic, that you put photos in, and it was all set up for Polaroids, right? And he had cooch photos in it.
So euphemism for cooch is hey, you there?
Right. Exactly. He is like
the holiest of holies. Keep going.
In order for him to guide them to the set, he would take a cooch photo, and he had a collection. He literally in this one notebook must have had a couple hundred, right? And he's showing. I'm like, what? And you know what? The disassociated cooch by itself, it's not a lovely thing.
Not necessarily. No. Did he have their names? Did he keep track of them, or was it just the photo? How weird.
You know what? I don't remember.
Because that's what I'm sorry. In my head, I'm sitting there going, well, why would you bring it off as a coffee table book if you didn't like, here's Angelina Jolie? Do you know what I mean? Here's Mick Strawn.
I just you asked. You
Well,
asked.
I'm curious.
Wait,
why-
you asked, and I have delivered.
No, I just there's a couple of questions I had. That was one of how does one remember who's whom, and unless you kept, and how do you get them to do it as the fourth AD who's the one that walks them over?
You know what? I was just saying. Good behavior wasn't exactly expected.
No, have we got? I mean,
and wasn't delivered. It
Right.
wasn't expected. It wasn't delivered. It's and if I was going to say that up through the 2000s that it was absolutely a boys club,
Mhm.
in the worst
possible
term
way, yeah.
possible way. It absolutely was. And that's what it was. That's whenever I hear that thing, I think about that guy, and I think, yeah, he's directing right now.
Successfully,
I have no idea.
He's getting jobs.
he's getting
just
jobs.
happened-
It's more
just
than
happened to see a blip recently that he had done his first directing gig, and I was thinking, I mean, here's a guy that definitely I could like tie together and say, yeah, you're kind of a piece of human shit, but awful lot of human shit out there,
and
that
the
work in
business
film
seems to attract some of the worst.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's
I mean, not for us. For the most part, people ask me about celebrities, and I always have the same answer. I was like, well, they're like everyone else. 90% of them are great or easy enough or not a problem. And then 10% are assholes. It's like any other kind of group, that you had deal with.
Well, do you think
For
that part of
me,
the
but I don't take
well,
a
you
lot
see,
of cooch photos.
yeah, but you have to understand that the like, and I'm going to go back to this, is the business is a fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
These people, you create yourself, you create your persona,
Mhm.
and I think that it's like this, is if you were a transvestite,
Yeah.
and you walked down you completely create your choice
Right.
persona. Okay, that's exactly that's you're telling the story when you're up there.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Absolutely.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
well, it makes me it makes me curious just thinking about, like you said, it's an industry that feeds itself on fantasy, and it's one of those things where, using your extreme example, after he got one person to say, yeah, sure, then all he has to do is say, well, they did it. And how many people will go, well, if
You're
whatever that is.
Oh, you froze on us, Mick. What did you say? Did he nail it?
well, yeah, he nailed it. That's exactly what it is. And the thing is you don't know that in a year that guy's going to be a famous director, right?
Yep.
or a producer. See, that's the other thing is you're always unfortunately, I was good at what I did. And I tell this to people when I say, yeah, all the people that I knew in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 that were like accountants, that were like assistant accountants, that were PAs or everything, probably 3 or 4 of those people actually hired me later on because I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I had that problem of having known what I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's expectations.
Yeah, it's a problem.
That's the problem. Then there's expectations.
The thing is I kept telling people, I said, no matter what you do, if you're starting out as a PA on film, do not know anything. Don't learn. They won't know what to do with you, and they will keep kicking you upstairs till eventually you're just going to be an executive producer because that's the only fucking thing you can be.
So you're saying they'll never fire you?
Right. Exactly. You know, how many times did I get so what are you good at? What am I good at? Yeah, that guy's an executive producer now.
It makes me think, because I got, for my work, I was assigned, I'm going to be mentoring somebody. And all I could think about is I've already got my opening line. I'm just going to walk in and say, listen, these people are too nice to admit it, but I've gotten to where I am based solely on my looks. So I can't help you. I don't know why they assigned you to me. I don't know. I'm just, this is what keeps me employed right here. Look at this.
But the world has changed. Back to what we were talking about. James and I had to go pick him up, and his childhood home is where I went to college, and that's where we. Anyway, I had to go pick him up there, and we were driving back, and then we passed a house that used to be a fraternity house. And I was like, "Yeah, used to pick a buddy up there when he was drunk." Long story. We shared 2 or 3 stories, and I'm not going to share on this podcast right now. And we both commented about we barely missed it. If we had been 2, maybe 4 years older, we would have been caught up in a lot of the stuff of mistakes never go away now.
Oh, yes. That was interesting.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying Cooch Boy isn't a piece of shit, but I am talking about people saying things that are stupid, people making comments, people doing things that are stupid. None of it goes away anymore.
Well, I was going to say, and we got a little bit, speaking of Suicide Squad, we might not have got James Gunn's Suicide Squad
if he had not
been temporarily. And you know, his explanation made sense to me. I was young. I was trying to be more of a stand-up comedian. And so I pushed the boundaries. And it's one of those things that I'll use Lewis Black as an example. I find Lewis Black really funny. But Lewis Black on stage doing it is one thing. If I saw a guy coming down the sidewalk just screaming some of the stuff that Lewis Black says, I'd probably be like, I don't want that guy near me. I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah, that's right.
and I think that's, you know, it makes me think about, you know, back in, and Facebook does it to me where it'll do the memories of things I posted 12, 13 years ago. And I'll even read them and be like, man, that sounded like a cry for help. What was I thinking? Like, you know, it's random stuff that I posted, or I just post stuff like, I could eat a taco. Nobody cares.
Our lives never disappear anymore. What are I mean, don't tell me some of the shit that you've done or said over the last, you know, what, you're 35, 36. I love the last 20 years of you being an adult. I mean, Mick, would you want it to come back and haunt you? You made some mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you walked up to that guy after that panel that one day.
And being a Grateful Dead fan.
Yeah, that's really where I was going.
Yeah,
with
listen.
Let's bring it back around full circle. There was a fat guy with a beard.
That's a long way to go for a joke.
It was. It brought it all the way back. But seriously, though, and we're getting off topic. I know people probably wanted to hear you talk about, I mean, other shit, but
I think that's part of the industry, because I do think we have, and again, I'm not excusing the behavior. And again, if I'm going to use Kevin Spacey doesn't work again. Okay. Now, if I find out later that Nick Cage is a terrible person, I'll be heartbroken.
Well,
James,
but wait a minute. You know, the fact is that as much as I don't think that we should go back and eliminate the stuff from Kevin Spacey.
And I use him as an example.
I also don't believe that you know, like there have been battles lately about people taking away certain things off of you know, catalogs and stuff like that. You know, so it goes the other way. The thing is none of our shit is fucking precious.
No, that's part where we got into. Are you talking? Go ahead.
I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about you know, a lot of my stuff is still remembered, but you know what? I'm not 100% sure that I care one way or the other. You know,
you don't really.
Yeah. I mean, look, history is the only reason anybody remembers this stuff is that we actually went out to try and create things. I mean, but art can be destroyed and lost just as easily as anything else. You know, I worry about like albums and stuff like that. Think about that. I mean, think about some of the reasons like there are things that are really, really good that are recordings and stuff that we're never see again. But in 20 years, it isn't going to matter. It isn't going to be relevant anymore. I think that very few things in 100 years ago are going to stand the test of time, you know? I could be completely wrong about that because I was completely wrong about the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, I was about to say, we've talked about some shit before, bud, and I don't know that you would have said 31, 33 years later, we'd be sitting here and you'd be writing a book about Nightmare on Elm Street. You'd be doing 5,000, getting asked the same damn question from fat nerds all across the world.
But you know, the flip side of it.
Oh, it froze. It froze. We thought you were making fun of Joe's penis size again.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah,
see him
it
hold
froze
up
on
a
you. It
12-inch
froze on you.
ruler.
It froze on you like this.
Are you sure it wasn't like this? He was doing his 10 Commandments Moses moment. Keep going. Nothing grows in the shade, folks. Keep going.
You know what? I think we've all had enough fun, don't you?
Did I kill something? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. You were about to say something, I thought.
I was just saying, no, I was just saying I've had enough fun.
Oh, okay.
Oh. I thought he was telling us to end this podcast.
I thought he was. I was just telling us to end this podcast, which is also probably like, it's been almost 2 hours anyway. But so before we go, I do want to ask about your upcoming appearances and projects.
I'm going to be at Scarefest.
Yes.
I Fear the Night is a vampire film that I'm working on that's going to come out soon. There's another one.
Do you have a shooting date for that yet? Has it been still?
I think it's going to be in February. I'm doing one that I can't remember.
You're doing a Star Trek film, aren't you, Mick?
Yeah, it's that's on the slate too. I honestly think that next year is going to be a really busy year for me. I've got my own thing to direct, The House in the Pines.
Mm-hmm.
In the pines,
where the sun never shines.
Sounds like somebody took a hacksaw to a cat's head.
You know, I'm like living my best dream, and I'm still remodeling my house. I'm never going to get done. I'll send you a picture of my doors downstairs, which are amazing.
Please, because Jeff Zuckerberg does not want me to see them on Facebook for some odd reason. He only wants me to see you post political shit and whatever movie or con you're going to. Is the only thing.
Well, I have to send it to you direct.
That's fine.
But you know what? I got to tell you something though. I want to tell you guys this is that I really, really, really look forward to your podcast all the time. Not when you have guests on, because guests are just blowhard assholes and I don't want to hear it. But
you're a fucking guest.
Hey, it's not like I don't know the nature of the problem.
It's so funny. We had so the other two couldn't do a director we had, and we ended up having to make it a 2-part series. And I actually enjoyed it, but I was sitting there, honest to God, Mick went through my mind going, later I'm going to hear from Mick going, why the fuck did he talk for 2 fucking hours? Why?
But
and he took so many fucking pauses.
This has been one of the most
20 minutes about fucking death in the middle of it. Keep going.
This has been probably the most interesting bonehead that I've heard, just because we've like concentrated on like no particular thing, but we've really talked about the business in a way, you know? And I enjoyed ruminating about, what we think about this business. This is a complicated business that's constantly changing. and I'm really fascinated with it in its more egalitarian state, in the stuff that's I'm more interested in streaming than I am on the things that are in the theater. But at the same time, I do think that if more films came out that were fucking as whacked out and just bleeding out of the top of your eyeballs as Suicide Squad, that the Marvels would be better.
Yeah.
You mean the DCs, or do you mean the Marvels?
He means all of it. It's all Marvel to him. He doesn't give two shits about the actual company that made it, right?
Yeah. You know, the Marvels.
Mick, I tell you, it's always a pleasure to have you on. When you're here at Scarefest, we're going to go ahead and schedule you and do it live from here.
Yeah. Now when Scarefest comes, we're going to get together live and we'll burn this sucker down.
Well, that, and we'll probably do dinner and some drinks too. So that's kind of what I was looking for. Yeah.
Sweet, Mick's paying?
No, hey, Joe.
What?
We're filming in your basement, right?
Yeah. You know what? Who always tries? Rob Mello always tries to get me on that one. He makes me, whenever we're going to see each other, and we see each other all the fucking time, right?
Yeah.
We're always at the same cons together. And for some reason, every time, it starts about 2 weeks before where he starts he tries to get me to make a bet on something.
Yeah.
So that I'll have to take him to dinner and buy his drinks. And I'm telling you, there isn't anybody out of the four of us that can afford Rob Mello's drinks. Not in the whole night. Oh my God.
I'm going to order like a 15-pound steak. Then all of a sudden my IBS kicks in. I'm like, oh, Mick, I'll be right back.
He never comes back. He never comes back.
Dine and dash.
But yes, so you got those projects, and let's talk about so you're not doing Rabbit Hole, right? Or you were paused on that?
I paused on that.
I'm not going to get into a whole thing with that, but I would love to get in.
I would love to get into another project. Rabbit Hole is just getting
hiatus.
Difficult. The thing is I was trying to run people down, and you know how hard this is actually to get a guest.
Talked about it. Yes.
And the thing is I don't want to know anything.
I know.
I just want to show up.
He just wants to show up.
I just want to be there for color commentary, because look, I am essentially, I used to have a friend who was, he always played dumber than he was. He was really pretty smart. And I used to say this, he would talk in a really heavy Southern accent and he'd take his teeth out,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. But he was actually just whip smart, right? Yeah. I would say, the thing is the way that you get by and the way I get by are really interesting because you always play dumber than you are. And I always play smarter than I am.
And it works for you. Look, you made a career.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, look at how many people I fucking fooled.
Honestly, though, it brings us so much joy that you actually listen to it. And I know he listens because of the criticism. Direct,
listen,
and succinct. Well, I don't know about succinct.
You guys have taught me something. The number of dumb shit movies that you've mentioned before just astounds me.
I know.
Listen. Some people wasted their high school years going after girls or drugs or something like that. I stayed at home and watched movies. You can make of that as you will, but it I would say it's paid off, but I don't know if it has.
All right, man. Well, this has been Bonehead Weekly. Mick, please go check out his website. Go look and see where he's going to be. Go buy his book.
Get the book.
Get the book.
It's for the photos alone.
Yeah.
Even I have to say, get the book.
Yeah, get the book. See him. Get some pictures.
You know what? The best way just to get a hold of me is just to DM me. Go to my Facebook page, and then don't push the friend button because I'll ignore you and 10,000 other people. Just actually go in and DM me, and then and I'll get back to you and go, what the fuck? What do you want? Why are you bothering me?
All right, man. This has been Bonehead Weekly. Thank you.
See you guys.